How y'all doing? This is Cascadia Coast News. I'm going to start talking about Joe Biden a little bit. Now, this guy is clearly out of his mind. I'm going to let this video speak for itself, and then I'm going to read an article which I ran across.
Who in God's name needs a weapon that can handle 100 rounds? For God's sake. I think we have to, in fact, have universal background checks, eliminate assault weapons as being illegal to be sold and owned in the United States, as well as limiting the number of bullets that can be in a clip to 10.
Now listen to me, Mr. Joe Biden. For one thing, the device that you were saying that feeds projectiles into the chamber of a gun is not called a clip, you moron. It is called a magazine. They never have been called clips. A clip is what holds two magazines together. Moving on.
Recent events illustrate again and with chilling vividness the tragedy that results from the wide and easy availability of guns with firepower that overwhelms our police, of weapons that have, in my view, no place in hunting or sport, and whose only real function, is to kill human beings at a ferocious pace.
Now listen to me, Mr. Joe Biden. And I shouldn't even say Mr., because you're far, far from a gentleman. The Second Amendment is not about hunting or sporting purposes. It is to protect our asses from tyrannical tyrants such as yourself.
The assault weapons been protected? It was effective in the sense that there were fewer mass shootings that occurred, so I think it reduced anxiety considerably.
If you look it up, there were 16 mass shootings that occurred during the assault weapons ban from 1994 till 2000, I believe it was 4 when it expired.
Gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon. The fact of the matter is they should be illegal, period.
Now, this is the same Joe Biden that said that civilians should not be able to have a 9mm pistol. The most popular caliber around the entire planet. He says that civilians should not have it. Now, if you go check out the Small Arms Survey, and you could just Google it, or maybe you might want to go think of a different search engine by now, because Google's tyrants too, you will find out that citizens around the world have more guns. And this is why they want the guns from people. It's because they want a one world government. And when this one world government comes to pass, it's going to be a tyrannical dictatorship. And you can't have an armed populace if you're trying to promote tyrannical rule of law.
It's time for Congress to require a universal background check for anyone trying to buy a gun.
We have the capacity right now to make sure that no gun can be fired unless it has your biometric print on it. Now, if that technology exists for that reason, why in God's name can't every single solitary weapon being sold in America? Why? Why is it such that we can't require, without violating anyone's Second Amendment right, that every single weapon sold can only be, the trigger can only be pulled by the person who has the biometric marker to pull it? Imagine how many lives we'd save.
Now, Mr. Joe Biden, and I take that name very loosely. Gosh. Did you... oh my gosh, man. You... Biometric guns are a very, very, very bad idea. Let's say that your house is stormed by a home invasion, and let's say that the husband got shot. He's the first one that got shot. Well, how would it come to be that the wife of that dead husband lying on the floor with the pool of blood coming out of his head can try to save herself and her children with a biometric gun? Because it wouldn't work that way. She would literally have to cut his hand off to try to activate the gun. This is a very bad idea. You see what these leftists are trying to propose? It makes no sense.
You can determine the outcomes. You, the people between 18 and 25. If you vote in the same percentage that others voted, that the population at large voted, we'd have over 5 million additional votes. And you know the consequences of this one issue of gun violence. You understand it. So get engaged. Help us. Help us change the way we deal with these issues.
Now, the reason he's saying 18 to 25 is because most 18 to 25-year-olds believe socialists and socialism is a good thing. Usually, from the polls that I've looked at, those who are above age 25, and especially people who are in their mid-30s, know that that is not a good idea, and they remember the values on which this country was built off of. Now, you who are 18 to 25 that he is trying to talk to, you might want to go do some researching on the people that you're trying to vote into office, because these people do not have your safety in mind. They have their safety and their money in mind and their pockets in mind. If they would have it their way, they would have y'all killed. Now, we are going to go read this article. And this is what Mr. Biden said, and I believe it was in Iowa. No, New Hampshire, sorry. Biden talks about, and this is from bearingarms.com. You could just look this up. Biden talks about using Hellfire missiles against American gun owners. Just like, they plan on using drones and all sorts of other stuff to take on American gun owners. Especially those who love the Constitution and cherish the values on which the Constitution was written. Now, domestic terrorism was made for Americans who believe in the Constitution of the United States, because here really soon, they're going to be saying that anybody who believes in the Constitution of the United States, anybody who is against their agenda, is a domestic terrorist. Now we're going to read this article. Hey, Joe Biden, you just tanked? Yeah, it was in Iowa. In the Iowa caucuses, and your approval in New Hampshire is in free fall, with a couple of polls out this weekend showing you in 5th place. That's where you ought to be. You ought to be at the bottom of the barrel, Mr. Biden. What are you going to do to right the ship? Oh, you're going to talk about the Second Amendment. Yeah, that should work. We already know this guy. He's just out of his mind. We already know this. I'm going to play this clip also.
Right. No amendment is absolute. I own a 20-gauge shotgun. I own a 12-gauge shotgun. I'll answer your question in a minute, sir. I own a 20-gauge and a 10-gauge shotgun. I just skeet shoot. I don't even hunt. My sons are hunter. They bird hunt. We protect, by the way, geese crossing the international boundary more than we do people. You only have three shells in your shotgun if you're going goose hunting. Okay, but you can have 100 rounds in a magazine that you can buy today. So I'm the only person.
Now, I play that for a specific reason. He wants people to think that the Second Amendment is about hunting when it was not about hunting. It's never been about hunting. Now moving on to the rest of this article. And this is what Biden said. Those who say the tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots. A great line. Well, guess what? The fact is, if you're going to take on the government, you need an F-15 with Hellfire missiles. There is no way an AK-47 is going to take care of you. And we'll just play this because he's digging himself a hole.
No, man, by the way, those who say the tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots, a great line. Well, guess what? The fact is, if you're going to take on the government, you need an F-15 with Hellfire missiles. There's no way an AK-47 is going to take care of you if you're trying to take on, you're worried about the government coming down, knocking down your door. And so it's bizarre. We never said you could own any weapon at all from the beginning. You can't own a machine gun. You can't own a bazooka. You can't own an M1 tank. No matter how much money you have, you can limit the kind of weapons that are able to be owned. And so I think, and by the way, all the work I've done on this, including in our administration, I now have over 58% of the NRA members acknowledging you can't own an assault weapon. There's no need for it. You can't have a magazine that has more than 10 rounds in it.
See, they're trying to... Now, this is where we need to draw a line. Fellow Americans, fellow patriots, this is crap. The minute we start allowing the government to come in and tell us what to do is the minute we're living in a dictatorship. And they will do whatever they want to us, just like they have done whatever they wanted to everybody throughout history. Look it up. Look up what happens when they take the firearms from people, or weapons in general from people, from the citizens. There is always mass bloodshed afterwards. They have something very, 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 very sinister coming down the pipes for us. And y'all better not give up your guns. And then it goes on to say, yeah, that should go over well in the live free or die state. The former vice president took a page from Eric Newcomb Swalwell's campaign by threatening to use military force against American gun owners who would resist the gun control agenda at a campaign stop in New Hampshire over the weekend. It's unclear from Biden's rant what exactly would trigger him to call out Hellfire missile strike on gun owners who subject to his gun control plans. But it's an idiotic argument to begin with. Yes, it is. Because you know what? This dude's a tyrant. He shouldn't even be in office. In fact, he should be hung for treason. For even coming out with a statement like, oh, we'll use military force against American civilians. Now listen to me, people in the military. Don't even tell me that you're going to side with these tyrants and go against the people that you took an oath to protect. If you do, I guarantee that in the afterlife, which there is an afterlife, y'all are gonna find out the hard way if you go against the people that you took an oath to protect. You took an oath to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the Constitution is there to protect the rights of American people. If you go against the American people to fight for a tyrannical government, you know, you could just answer Yahweh yourself, because there is a God in heaven. Moving on. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that things got super squirrely here in the United States, and we did end up in an awful situation of armed resistance to government tyranny, which is coming down the pipes, I think. The United States is a lot bigger than, say, Vietnam or Afghanistan, two places that have shown that the doctrine of asymmetric warfare is alive and well as a military strategy. Even in a day and age of Hellfire missiles and armed drones, tactically speaking, I don't think Biden is correct. And no, you are not correct, Mr. Biden. We don't need Hellfire missiles to do anything. We don't need a tank to do anything. All we need is God Almighty, Yahweh in heaven. Beyond the tactical misfire, however, Biden is making a huge mistake by nonchalantly threatening to bomb American towns and cities because he's bothered by a quote from Thomas Jefferson. I would argue that by invoking the threat of military force against Americans who do not comply with his gun control laws, Biden just himself a hole that he's going to have a hard time climbing out of. He dug himself a hole that he's going to have a hard time coming out of, is what this dude's saying. I believe that Americans are concerned about the deep divides in this nation, but Biden's comments only serve to exacerbate them. Biden's been talking up bipartisanship on the campaign trail, but that message of reaching out across the aisle is completely negated when he starts talking about firing hellfire missiles at reluctant gun owners in Montana or the wilds of Western Virginia. It didn't work out well for Swalwell's campaign, and it's not going to help Biden in his bid to become president. There are 100 million American gun owners and 400 million privately owned arms in this country. Biden's not going to be able to strike us all down with hellfire missiles. No, and I agree with that. No way. No matter how much he might want to. It's a silly talking point and one that dances right around the fact that we're already seeing resistance to gun laws in places like New York, New Jersey, and California. And they should be resisting these gun laws because it's tyranny. It's against the Constitution. And you know what? I might sound like I'm a little bit outraged right now. Well, you know what? I am. And any American who is actually an American should be outraged at such nonsense as this. Okay, now where were we? Where compliance rates for new bans on firearms and magazines are in the single digits. That's the reality that Biden and other anti-gun politicians have to deal with. And threatening airstrikes isn't a realistic strategy. In fact, it's a call to tyranny. Now, this was written by Cam Edwards, so I give him all props for writing this article. Y'all need to be calling your representatives and saying no more gun control. In fact, we need to repeal all gun control that's even gone in. So y'all have a good evening, and I'm going to have a couple more videos on tonight. So you just take it easy and be vigilant.